I go for it.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order on November 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We have our President, Mark Strong, on the phone. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Changes to the agenda.
We're going to add discussion item C, which will be policy 1111, oath of office. That's on the agenda later as an action item, but we'd like to have a discussion prior to that. I'd also like to do a sound check with Mark Strong. So Mark, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, very good, very good. All right,
Awesome.
so we're ready to roll.
Communications.
For communications, we have a response to public comment, so I'll read that. At the school board meeting on October 28th, 2025, a staff member expressed concerns about the Instructional Materials Committee, Skyward Family Access, and Custodio, and asked that school board reconsider policies and procedures to ensure that staff members who are parents have full participation and access. And the response to public comment is the superintendent reviewed procedures with the IT department and sent a follow-up email to all staff. Staff members who would like parent access to technology tools such as Custodio should use a personal email address. Staff members can continue to use their district email address to access Skyward Family Access. In regards to the Instructional Materials Committee, Assistant Superintendent Stacy Drake sent an email to all staff asking them to contact our administrative assistant if they were interested in serving on the Instructional Materials Committee. With the current procedures, the district ensures that the perspectives of parents who are not staff members are present on the committee, and staff members who are parents may serve on the committee as staff representatives. And that concludes the response to public comment.
All right, we have a school presentation tonight.
And also just for communications, we did receive a letter from the WIAA, and just wanted to recognize, I won't read the whole letter, it's in the board packet, but basically on very short notice, the WIAA slow pitch state championship was being rained out on the Kiwanis, I believe, and unplayable, and they were able to pivot and use the West Valley High School facility, and they were able to do that because of our athletic director, our coaching staff, and all of our staff were able to just quickly get everything up and running, and they were able to complete the slow pitch state championship because of the great work of our staff, and so they wanted to recognize that, and I definitely wanted to put that in our board packet and recognize the great work of our staff to help make that happen.
Perfect. Now we have a school presentation.
Yeah, very good. So we're going to ask the board to join the audience because we have the PowerPoint going and we'll have students present. So when you present, go ahead and come up here in front of the whole audience and we'll have the board join the audience. Is that all right, guys? And I'm taking my cell phone with me, so Mark Strong, you're with me.
Good. All right. So we're super excited to get in there, partner. We're super excited to share some of the great things that are happening at the mid-level campus. I'm Amber Stiles-Gill, principal of the junior high.
I'm Nick Clark, I'm the principal of the middle school.
And we are...
The middle of the campus.
Yeah, but here, I can do that.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so in our strategic plan, one of the goals that we're focused on is culture of safety and belonging, and so we wanted to spend this evening just to share a few highlights about some of the things that we're doing at the mid-level campus. This isn't, of course, everything, but we feel like we have some really awesome things to share with you. So we know that a culture of safety and belonging increases student achievement, and that research shows that when schools foster a culture of safety and belonging and positive relationships, that all of these things happen. So student engagement increases, attendance improves, motivation and effort grow, and academic achievement rises. So we really want our students to be seen. We want them to thrive, feel valued and supported.
Right. In all of our plans, the district strategic plan and our own building plan kind of revolves around our expected strategies. And so, as you can see at the top there, our overall focus is through teacher clarity and through our culture of safety and belonging, and obviously with our goal of mastery of standards. So all of those are expected throughout the hallways, throughout the classrooms, throughout every day and every period. And it basically culminates with our mastery-based learning down there at the bottom slot. It kind of covers both sides. So just know that everything that's done in the building, whether it's district level or building level or classroom level or individual student level, is based on these strategies here. We're all on the same page. All right.
And our RAMS values, so this is a poster, I think we even have it on here. Yep, we still do. Last year we pointed out quickly, but wanted to highlight this. It really goes with what we're speaking to today. This was created in partnership with some of our students from our, what are they called? Advisory reps. And so we have our RAMS values on the left-hand side, and then something that came out of our advisory rep meeting is that students really thought it was important to talk about the why. So rather than just constantly tell kids what they should and should not do, the students kept saying, but we need to talk about why we do those things. Why is that important? So we worked with advisory reps 2 years ago, and they came up with these reasons why, and then we had kind of a little contest to design a poster, and we mashed it all together. Well, Mrs. Williams did, because she's amazing like that. And now we have these posters in all of our classrooms and throughout the campus. And then our Tier 1 team, this is something that came about after our first year as co-principals. Our Tier 1 team that focuses on not just the discipline side of things, but also the positive rewards, our PBIS system. They said, you know, we have a flow chart, we have something like this in our student handbook, but we feel like we need to really bring it to life, and we need to look at it again and say, are these things, is this really what's happening in our classrooms and our schools? So our Tier 1 team worked, a large group of teachers worked together to refine and come up with this particular poster that we also have around the school in our classrooms, and then identify those minor and major incidents. And we feel like as a staff, we're all on the same page now, which really helps with students knowing what to expect, right? The same expectations are in every classroom and throughout the campus. And then that also, kids feel safe when they know what to expect. Just like with parenting, right? Like you gotta know, gotta have some structure there, so.
So we didn't just throw this out there. We collected some data as we're at, and one of our highlights of our data, like, come on, you do it. Oh, there we go. So again, this is just one of our data highlights for that Tier 1 planning and how we put together the PBIS store and PBIS levels, and then also with our different behavior flow chart. So we're looking at instructional hours missed. So if you look at the 23-24 school year, our students were out of the classroom, and this is, you know, ballpark, but pretty close, 5,800 hours. And that's a total across the school with 1,200 kids. And then last year, 24-25, first year of implementing, getting all on the same page, Tier 1 across the board, you can tell that we've dropped that down to 38. So we're close to 2,000 instructional hours saved, and our kids were in front of teachers rather than not. So it just shows that how that system's working and how we're all on the same page and how powerful that can be. So again, just one data highlight there. All right. Okay, so we're belonging, and we want to find ways for everyone to belong here. We want to find ways for them to come to school. We're creating those, and so we're going to highlight these 4 stars, these 4 kind of throughout. Then we're going to start listening to the kids, because you're tired of hearing us, I'm sure, already. And so you're here for the kiddos, and so we're going to start pulling them up one at a time. We're going to start with culinary arts with Miss Hanson and her students, and that's a new course that we've started this year. And then we're going to move into the PBIS store, and then our before and after school activities. And finally, some professional development that we're working through with Ms. Goldbeck. So, with no further ado, Mrs. Hanson, you guys ready? Yeah. Yeah, I got more lights.
So I'm Gretchen Hansen, and I am first year here at the junior high teaching culinary arts, and it's been a fun ride. I'm learning and getting acquainted with the building and the school, and getting everything set up and running has been fun. I've learned a lot, and there's things I'll do different second semester, but I've had some amazing students in class. Some things we've gone through include like nutrition and wellness, food safety, culinary skills, and we do definitely review all of that, but I have found that I can talk enough about it, but then the kids learn so much by doing, and then they'll like either be like, oh, I got it, or they'll be like, that didn't work and we need to fix it. So I don't know if these girls want to just share on some things. Like a big thing we talk about too is time management, because 55 minutes flies by real fast when you have kids cooking, and they made cookies again. We've done a couple different food labs and learning just like order of operations, like when you're making pasta, do you want to cook that first, or do you want to wait until when you're going to get the noodles ready? Are they going to get soggy and fall apart, or are they going to be fresh and ready with the sauce? And learning timing of things as well. So, what would you like to share? What have you learned in the class?
I have learned a lot about nutrition and like certain things that like I didn't know before, like how much of each food group we should be eating. And it's also fun to just have like a hands-on class, and I have it at the end of the day, which I really like, because like all my other classes, are like harder, and then at the end of the day I can just kind of like be hands-on and do something different.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about like cooking and stuff, because I haven't really learned stuff, but like once I joined this class, it's good skills to have in the future, and just learning. It's fun. It's really a fun class.
And we do a lot with time management, because that's, and working as a team and taking responsibility. And like if I ask you to clean something, you can do it. You don't have to just say like, well, I didn't make that mess, because it's just the nature of like working as a group and things like that. So.
Okay. And you guys brought some treats?
Yes, and if you would like, they can hand out cookies that they made. Yes. If you want to do that now, you can. Everyone can grab one if they want.
Yeah, look at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Leadership kids, do you want to come get ready while they're ready? Not yet. I'm Tiffany Williams, and I work with our leadership kids. And a year ago, we stood before you talking about our new PBIS store. So we have had a full year under our belts, and these leadership students are reaping the benefits of our lessons learned and knowledge we have gained, wisdom we have accrued. So I want them to share a little bit about the differences they've noticed in the year. So we have 7th graders and an 8th grader with us, Gunnar Jones, Kellen Day, Michaela Torres, Gonzalez Torres, and Caitlin Moore. So I'd like them to just, tell a little about their personal experiences as buyers and earners of points, but also as the organizers and distributors of the PBIS items.
I really like that we use our so we've made coupons of dismissing lunch and getting to tell dad jokes in the morning on the announcements, like our great Mr. Clark. And that, I feel like, is a pretty good use of our own, or a good use of free rewards, and a pretty,
Another thing is we've made a better delivery system on instead of having it at the middle of the day getting your rewards, you get them at the end of the day so that your teachers are more happy with the students instead of not getting frustrated that they're messing around with everything, and that they get it at the end of the day and then they do not have a lot of time to play with it because they get out of school.
Something that I've noticed is that teachers have gotten a lot better using them as a reward system, Because I remember last year when it had just started that not a lot of teachers like knew how to use it or they just didn't really figure it out. But this year they got a lot better and we got like much more sales during it.
One thing that I've enjoyed is that we have useful items that kids can buy, like workbooks if they lose theirs or it gets damaged, and pencils and erasers that they can buy if they lose theirs.
Anything else to add? Our average sales right now are about 400 to 500 every other week. So we're delivering every other Friday, and we've been able to, with the support of our admin, we've been able to find lots of fun things. It's amazing what kids, love. If you've ever taken your kids to like the arcade, and it's like, it doesn't matter that it's not awesome to us, that they love it. And we've got tiny ducks and stickers, and they're just, and lots of squishy things. And so it has been, we have really upped our items, and I think we keep getting feedback from kids about what's working and what do they want to see in it too. So, but these guys work hard every other week, man. They're in there packaging these things up. We've got it down, and so it takes up a good chunk of our time, but it's working, and I appreciate it.
Nice job.
So I'm the data guy too, so I just pulled this up. We've given out 16,300 points so far this school year. So far the kids have used 1,660 points for raffles.
Oh, yeah.
And they've used, I lied to you, and then they've purchased 1,394 items from the store already.
Wow.
Sixth grade's leading the way with 7,927 points earned so far, followed by seventh grade with 5,469, and the eighth grade is following up with 4,556. So, yeah.
All right, so we know involvement matters, so whether kids are finding courses during the day that they feel connected to and engaged with, or leadership opportunities, those are all super important, but we also recognize that we have some before and after school things taking place that are equally as important. On the right-hand side, band and choir, that of course takes place primarily during the day unless they have a concert or competition, and those are our numbers for this year. We had 28th graders participate in the high school marching band, so that was really awesome to see. They would get on a bus after school on their rehearsal days and ride up to the high school and practice, and then they got to perform at the home football games and then some competitions. And then our before and after school activities or clubs, we have lots of involvement in that. We had 14 clubs during the fall, and again 14 clubs for winter 1. Athletics that take place after school. We had 16 teams in the fall, lots of fall sports, so 344 athletes were involved in that. Unfortunately, we do have to cut athletes. We have more athletes participate than any other school in our, any other school in our league. So we're fortunate to have the teams that we have. Same thing for winter. We have 8 basketball teams right now. Most schools just have 4 or fewer. So 113 athletes between our basketball teams and wrestling right now. And then drama, we just got started with the musical, and so kids auditioned for that. Last year we had 120 students participate. That was cast, crew, and the pit. And then this year we were in the middle of auditioning, and so I had our arts teachers just estimate for me. They're pretty certain they'd have at least around 100 kids. So that is just another way that we're making those connections, whether it's during the day or before or after school. And we wanted to highlight just one of our clubs to share with you. This is Cox's club, so come on up, guys.
Good evening. Thank you for having us visit with you this evening. We have what we call Wacky Science. It is a culmination of social-emotional learning. It has 21st century skills all over it: collaboration, communication, critical thinking. We work together, grades 6, 7, and 8, and they all learn to complement each other. They learn to find the wow factor in everything that we do. We start with alcohol inking to start to understand small amounts of what the human body can do. Adara is new in our new club. She's going to talk about what the first couple of club days are like. And then Randall, he's my resident survivor. He has survived the inking club the first round, and Randall is what I call an indicator student. His expressions tell me whether or not this is a go or not. And so Randall is here to show you those expressions because he can do them all. Adara?
So first we started by taking different colors of ink and making a landscape. It looks like this. They all turn out different. There's also one up there. We took like ink bottles and we like spritzed them all over the paper, and like we took like little popsicle sticks and like we made a picture out of it. It takes a couple days to dry and stuff, but it made like when we took a gold type of ink and we mixed it with the regular ink, and it made a chemical reaction that like pushed it away. It's a reaction that also happens in the human body. That's also how it like compares from like art science to actual science in the body. And we saw a lot of movement out of it, of the inks, and like it does resemble to molecules and stuff also inside the body. And what I think is best about the club is knowing that we get to use needles and syringes all over to inject fruit, and we cut it open to see what it looks like inside. Randall's actually done that.
Yeah. So after we got comfortable working with the needles and syringes, we then started to become phlebotomists, which we worked on injecting different fruits with colored dyes. As you can kind of see up there, the first two. All the different pathways in the fruit, they all reacted in different ways and had the dye. Like, it was pretty cool to look because it was just all over the place, and the onion too, it like circled around it. Awesome. We learned how to properly work with sharps, like the needles and scalpels. I've been deathly afraid of needles my entire life, and this has helped a lot with that. The scalpels, which were really sharp, really tiny knives, and did not want to miss a finger with that. We also, giant knives too. It was pretty interesting. We had the really small ones and then these like huge ones that were like, after we learned how to be safe with all the different sharps, we used a 1 cc syringe, which is the one you push with, and a 33 gauge needle to try to inject into a simulated vein. So this is about how thin that vein was. Like, with a shaky hand and a needle, it's like really hard to get. So yeah, that took a pretty long time. This club was excellent for me because I started out afraid of the needles, and now I can work with them like any other scientific equipment. It was a really good, really helpful instructional club.
As a thank you for taking that leap in CTE, also in taking the leap and letting us think out of the box and bring the human body into and STEAM and putting it all together as one. We have a small gift for each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's a really hard act to follow now. And I don't have any kids with me, but I'm Jessie Golbeck. I'm the multilingual coach at the middle level campus. This is my second year at this campus. And I just wanted to tell you that we have been really fortunate to have some ELD release days, so for English language development. So I met with each content area of teachers, and some content areas like ELA we had to do in 2 days because we wanted to make sure we had subs show up. But we got to work the whole day looking at, our targets and success criteria are up there. We use data. I reviewed the data the WVSD data and the iReady data of our multilingual students at all grade levels with the teachers. And then they had the day to collaborate with the team, with their team, planning scaffolds and strategies based on that data, what their students needed. And then that we had success criteria also. And then the post-it notes on the right are for success criteria 3. At the end of the day, the teachers committed to 3 scaffolds or supports that they were willing to try in their classroom, knowing that not all scaffolds and supports work in every classroom and every content area, but they're willing to try some of the things that we had talked about. So along with our district goals of teacher clarity and safety and belonging, our purpose for the day is to get to know our students, who they are, their strengths, language and cultures, moving beyond just the students in our content area specifically, because if you only see students for science, that's all you know about them is their ability to do science. Or if you only see them in PE, that's all you know about them. But we were able to talk with all content areas about their reading skills, their math skills, and all of their language skills as far as the WVSD tests were concerned. And so that was really enlightening to some teachers who were like, oh, okay, that now I know how I can help those students in my content area and what specific supports they would need, other than just, you know, the broad, they're a multilingual student. They would know, they knew, had specific data on those students. And then on the next slide, that's just an example of the data. On the left is the, it's really hard to see, but on the far left is the current descriptors. So that's where the students test. Each student has a report like this. That's where the students test in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And then on the right-hand side of that same report are the successive descriptors. So they know where the students are currently and what to do to move them to the next level. And so that we really focused on specific strategies for each content area. For example, PE and art might not have a lot of reading or writing, but they do a lot of speaking and listening. So we talked specifically about speaking and listening strategies that they can use in their classrooms or as exit tickets, and then how, so they know where their students are and how to get them, you know, what the next little step would be for those students. And then the right-hand side is just an example of an iReady report. We have lots of students who are reading below grade level, and so we want to make sure that we are removing all the barriers to get the students to the end goal, which is learning the grade level content. So what do we need to do to remove that barrier in the middle? And that's providing the scaffolds. So we were able to spend our day in really small groups focusing on those things and working and planning and committing to strategies for the students. And that's all I have. So I just wanted to thank the district for supporting the professional development. I don't know if we will get to do that again, but it was really, really beneficial. And if it's at all possible, I would highly say it's worth the money.
So those are just a few examples of the great things that we have happening. We have really amazing staff and really amazing kids, as you can see. So we can thank our special people.
All right. We put this picture in there to finish it up and to start it because, you know, we're priming you guys a little bit, right? So this is our gym. This is only half of our student body. This is the middle school gym, and you can tell we had to bring chairs out, put it on the floor. We had a motivational speaker come in, Stu Cabe, earlier this year, and we had to do a couple different assemblies because we just didn't fit. So yeah. Something to prime you guys with. So thank you much.
All right, we'll have the board come up and have Amory next day, and we'll go question and answer.
There are so many things that I love about that presentation. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about the pathway and career that's going on. One of the things that I saw was the creativity that just gets put into the curriculum, the excitement on the students' faces, and then just the the production of what comes out of it. Thank you guys so much for all the hard work you guys are doing.
We just support them.
I noticed also, so something happened in our family the last few years. Both of our kids came through the middle school, and one of the things that I noticed that was a trend that started to change when they came to the middle level campus was their attendance. They became in love with attendance. And it was one of those things that even moving forward, they're afraid to miss any days of school. Looking at your slide on Tier 1 data, that's a great success. How did you guys do that?
Well, yes. So again, this is, and someone brought to my attention, they wanted to go, what does exclusion means? It means that's kids out of class. They're excluded from the classroom itself, and so they just didn't get the opportunity. So we made it a point, and the teachers made it a point, that we were going to do interventions inside the classroom. We were going to start it there. We were going to make more of a connection between the teacher and the parent at that point. And what it does is it reacts to, the kids were responding. So that was enough to keep them in the class, and we didn't have to go any further up the ladder, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so that's.
I also think too, our teachers do a great job of supporting one another. And so when we start thinking about, like, let's say back in 23, 24, maybe you had a kid who was always falling asleep in class and maybe being removed from class because the teacher was frustrated, like, why are they always sleeping in my class? And I think we had some good conversation, and I feel like our teachers really started to support one another and like, well, I know this about that kid and that's why they're doing this, and maybe we can figure out some other ways to help them, you know, be successful. And then they also, with the reflection forms, and the teachers started talking about, well, I'm going to work with my teacher next door, and when a kid needs to fill out a reflection form, they're going to go do it with that teacher, or they're going to go do it by them. So the collaboration, I think, and the conversation around some of those things makes a big difference.
And in addition to that, we have a very dedicated individual who happens to be in this room too, that really does, he runs the Tier 2 support teams and the care team. And so referring those students that are you seeing something going on a regular basis, now we're referring them to a Tier 2 level. So now we have a team that also talks about that student and what kind of interventions and what kind of supports can be put in place there. So we're very intentional on identification and in that Tier 2 interventions as well. And we're finding that those they're having some successes. And you can also add in there that our community in schools is also another Tier 2 intervention that we have that we've spent some of our monies on, and we find that they're very valuable as well.
And a little reflection on my part. So our first year as principals, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? But we knew that there were things to improve on, and we got to May, you know, when everybody's all tired and like ready for summer, and I was really nervous we had a conversation about our discipline and our data, and it ended up being a great conversation and great input from our staff, and I think that was a positive turning point, because then from that we had more people involved in our Tier 1 and our Tier 2, and that buy-in and their input made a huge difference in creating like our poster and the flow chart and just all our systems that were already there, but they just weren't refined enough. So I think the difference has really been with our teachers and their commitment to making things better.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I would, I think you answered the question I had about exclusion and what defines exclusion. Attendance is being one of them. Are there other things that define?
So our attendance is not included in that data. That's just the exclusions, like, you know, a kid removed from the class at that time.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate Mrs. Gills highlighting the number of students in band, choir, and drama, priming us for this.
That's right. You did ask for
numbers. You know, and so I think, and I look at all of these things, and I think one of the things that as a district we can be proud of is that we are preparing the kids for the real world, you know, and I see that in these clubs and these classes that you presented here. And one thing I'll just make mention is I think you two share leadership really well. I noticed that, you know, our last meeting and then coming here, so great job at what you're doing. Yeah.
Maybe it's because we went to middle school together. Not here, but.
That's great.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I don't have anything to add. I agree totally with both of them. And most of the students have left, but I wanted to thank them because I remember in middle school, it's not easy to stand up in front of people.
Yeah.
And so those of you that are still here, thank you. You guys did a great job, and the cookies really helped. But it's just fun to watch the students stand up in front of adults and share, and you get a little nervous, but and I remember that. It was really good. Appreciate it.
Well, and I know you guys have other jobs, but if you ever have an opportunity to come visit us, it's really fun to see the things our kids are doing. Like the pictures I took in our culinary class, I was just trying to do my observation of Gretchen's room, but it was so exciting because they were making this pasta with this pumpkin sauce of some sort, and the kids were trying to follow the recipe. It was, some of them got out the heavy cream, some got out other ingredients, and they were really learning as they went along. It's fun to watch. And then if you travel down the hallway a little further, I've been really excited about our lettuce. We're growing lettuce in Egg Ventures, and we got our garden beds set up outside. There's so many great things happening. And then in ELA, like they're using the new curriculum, and you go in and they're highlighting things and they're talking, and all across the board, there's great things happening in all our classes, so it's super fun to watch. So if you had a chance and you just wanted to walk through, I would be happy to walk through the junior high. I'm sure Nick would at the middle school too, anytime.
Anytime.
I don't have any questions. I just am more like everybody else. Kudos. I'm really impressed and encouraged, or I would encourage us as a district and for your staff to continue to support these hands-on endeavors, because you can just tell by the students that came up and spoke how excited they were to talk about needles and cooking and everything else. That's so important to that sense of that hook. What is that hook that is going to create that sense of belonging at school, that they belong here because hopefully more than one thing, but that something that bring them here and they want to be here. Like Mr. Heed said, we don't want to miss. That's all part. And when all of those things happen and kids don't miss school because they don't want to miss out, that's awesome. So everything that we can do to promote that, the district should be in favor and work toward finding solutions to provide those opportunities. One thing that I will say, I love the numbers on extracurriculars. Extracurriculars are an extremely important part of developing a well-rounded student experience. And on the one hand, it hurts my heart that we have to cut in athletics. I know you guys are shaking your heads up and down. As somebody who a long time ago went through this district, I was cut, and that's not fun. That doesn't promote a sense of belonging at school. But it made me a better person. It made me and I just offer that I don't know what we're doing relative to supporting those students. I know that when I was cut from an athletic program a long time ago, there were supports in place for me. I was fortunate. I had great parents and great support and friends and so forth. But while we don't want to see any kid go through that process, it's not necessarily a bad thing in the long run if it's handled right. So I just throw that out for consideration. I'm sure that there is support going on, but
we also have great ideas if we were to have a bond pass.
But you bring up a
Nick talks about intramurals like all the time.
Right.
And I'm like, but where? Where are we going to do it? But yes, you're exactly right.
Yeah. So anyway, just loved the presentation. Loved the things that the initiatives that we're taking and they continue to take to support belonging at school. Thank you.
Amber and I and the staff are constantly talking about what can grab a hold of somebody and hold on to them, right? And so we're constantly bringing that up. So
yeah, we want everybody to find their place. And my mom would say that builds character. I like to tell her I have enough. Yeah, we're working to find a place for every kid, so you have something to look forward to.
Cookies were great too.
They were really good. I had them too. It was good. Anything else here?
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Next on the agenda, we have our public comment on non-discussion agenda items. I'm just going to read this. Members of the public who would like to provide public comment will sign in. Speakers will be called in the order that they signed in to speak. Speakers will be given 3 minutes for their comments. Public comment is not the proper forum to address concerns about specific staff. And then we have 3 people signed in, so if we can have, is that Brad? Brad Henson? Perfect.
I did a little writing in the back on the fly. Thank you, school board members, for your time. First, not sure if you'd like it, but you'd have way better attendance if you told parents and community members there'd be cookies. Second, my apologies for being a little lightheaded, unlike our dynamic students that left. I've got a thing with needles, so that was really fun to have thrown at my face too. But on a more serious note, I'm here today in the hopes that you will vote to approve for the additional funding with regards to financing an auditorium for the middle school. My understanding is there's a proposal on the table for $5 million in funding for an approximately 350-person auditorium. You took the photo down, but as that photo showed for the mid-level campus, a size-appropriate auditorium would be of great benefit to your staff, to the community, and to the students of the district, I think. The new auditorium, I would recommend, be designed to promote the arts and the students involved in the arts, among other things. The current high school auditorium only holds 350, is often too small for the high school band concerts parents and family and friends to attend, let alone hosting the amount of parents and family members that come to watch 6th to 8th grade band, choir, and other events. I would say 750 to 1,000 would be more appropriate. Furthermore, the high school does not have the appropriate lighting, prop storage, and the necessary pit for high school drama productions. To build this type of auditorium, in my estimation, would probably cost about 3 times that, let's say $15 million. That's an increase of $10 million what's on budget, and I believe, if I do the math right, would cost a person with a $300,000 home approximately $25 a year. A $500,000 home, approximately $40. Now, I understand everyone loves their projects being funded, and we could nickel and dime everyone. We see it in Congress often. I believe that this nominal increase in revenue would have a dramatic ROI for our students, their parents, and the community. With that, I want to thank those of you who have served tirelessly on this board and won't be back after this next couple of sessions. It's sometimes a thankless job, and I was raised by my parents to thank those people who step up to the plate and do hard things. We don't always agree, but it's important to value leadership and commitment in our community. You all have stepped up. Thank you. I really appreciate the work you've done these past years. Thank you.
Andrea Jones? Okay. Jody Scott?
Hello, good evening. I am a mid-level staff campus member. Did I say that right? Campus staff member, there you go. I'm used to talking to kids, not as much adults. But I am also a drama parent. So I'm here to speak as well in favor of adding the auditorium to the plans for the mid-level campus. So as we know, our existing auditorium is quite out of date and much smaller than needed for our mid-level campus students and our high school. We currently do not really have a facility that can hold all of our students for these large events. And while our theater students have done an amazing job being very creative with that space, coming in from the back and down the aisles and all kinds of things, it's time for an updated facility. To skip over that at this time would mean another 40 years or something before we could update this facility, and so I just want to really urge you to consider that. As you said, Mr. Thorner, anything that supports student belonging and wanting to be here at school, our school district should be in favor of, and so I ask you to please consider adding the new auditorium.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody who didn't sign in, you're welcome to come up now. Seeing no one? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
My name's Shane Moore. I've spoken to you before.
here because my daughter was one of the presenters tonight, and I'm here to pick her up. But after hearing the last two, I do want to say, when I spoke to you about 6 months ago on something else, I did throw in that as a district, and I even heard just this weekend from people saying has one of the best fine arts programs in the state, our facilities do not match that. And I'll be at the high school in December for a junior high band concert, and there will not be enough seats. And not enough seats, we're creating actual hazards with the fire department one day. If a chief walks in and sees how we're making, just to get enough parents to be able to see what's going on. And so I would love to see a nice auditorium. Truly, what I would love to see is a fine arts building for this district. Knowing that probably won't happen, but if we truly want to claim to be one of the best fine arts programs in the state, we need the facilities to match it because they are not there.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. At this time, we're going to move into the action items. Discussion.
Discussion, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Correct. And so let's take them one at a time. There's a lot of discussion going on. Easy one is the approval of minutes from last session.
Oh, I think item 8 is discussion items.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so
we'll go down to
So A is the levy.
The levy. Awesome. All right, we've talked a lot about the levy. Is there any further discussion for the levy tonight?
Sure. At the last board meeting, the board had requested that I come back and bring some information about where the additional funds would be targeted. And so I provided that in the board packet, but just, for the audience as well, the athletics and activities, we have a need for athletic trainer, additional time there, and that's really safety of our athletes. Our after-school activities for elementary over the years have been reduced because of the reductions that we've seen in the local effort assistance and other reduction of fundings. And so we'd like to bring back after-school activities for our elementary students. We'd like to have drama productions in the fall and the spring. We heard about outdoor school and how wonderful that was for our students, but the funding for that was cut by the state legislature, and so we'd like to bring that back with our local levy. And then we'd like to reduce student fees as much as possible. Currently there's a fee for marching band. We'd like to reduce that and hopefully we'd like to eliminate it. So just, in terms of athletics and activities, there's a lot of areas there where we could increase our funding, and we would do that through the local levy. Other areas were the maintenance and improvements, district-wide support, certificated staff and programs, counseling, student health services, and then our information technology infrastructure. There is, we have a lot of items with information technology. We have always the ongoing need to upgrade, and then there's definitely concerns across the whole nation about cybersecurity, especially with school districts. And we know that the Highline School District had to deal with a cybersecurity breach, and it infected every item that they had in their system. So every printer, every computer, everything was infected, and the only way to fix that is to have a huge replacement of all those items. So the more we can do to have cybersecurity, so we're not in that position, the better. And so there's some additional funding we would need for our cybersecurity firewalls. So we pulled that together and put that in the board packet. Just wanted to make sure that we were responsive to what the board had asked, and shared that with you.
Awesome. Appreciate that packet. Any discussion on the levy?
I appreciate your guys' work, you and I know Mr. McDaniel, detailing a little more about how that's spent. And I think as we put this forward, being able to answer that to the community is important for not just us, but everybody that's involved. And those are questions people ask. So thank you for the extra effort.
Thanks.
All right. We'll begin discussing the bond proposal.
All right, with the bond proposal, the board had asked for more information about what the scope of a middle school auditorium would be. And so we shared 2 pages here in the board packet. We also shared the enrollment of our band and choir at the mid-level campus, and that the stage that's being proposed would be large enough to accommodate future growth in the program. The estimated stage capacity would be 125 to 150 students for band, 150 to 175 students for choir. That would allow our 6th grade band and choir to perform together and our 7th and 8th grade to perform together. The seating capacity would be approximately 900 to 1,000 seats, and then we shared the square footage. There was some talk in the public comment about the need for like the backstage, the wings, the lobby, mechanical circulation, storage, auditorium seating. We provided that all in there as the range. When we worked with our consultant on identifying the amount that would be needed to have the middle school auditorium, they were taking into account some of the square footage that was already in the original package, and then by adding this additional, the 5 million additional, they were saying that we would be able to have the auditorium that basically we've been hearing from the public that they would like to see happen. When you look at the tax rates, we included that as well. And so, you know, we are comparing the 2025 tax rate to the proposed West Valley 2027 tax rate. But, you know, previously we had shared this information. This is the revised information with the new assessed value. So you can see that in comparison to the 2025 tax rate, either proposal that you decide to approve tonight, the one with the middle school auditorium or without, those are still combined tax rate with the replacement levy would still be the lowest of our Upper Valley schools. So lower than Natchez, lower than East Valley, lower than Yakima, lower than Highland, and then it would be equivalent to the SELA combined rate if you went with the middle school auditorium. So it still puts us in a real competitive area in looking at, you know, are we in the right ballpark of the combined tax rate? And, you know, this information shows that we would definitely be competitive with our other Upper Valley schools.
You know, Peter, for me personally, it was one of those packets that really solidified it for me. I really wanted to get to the 97.5. I just didn't know what we were getting for it. And as you guys have put the material together, it's been so good to see. And so I'm all in favor of the 97.5, getting that auditorium put in.
Very good.
I'm as well. I think one of the community members mentioned it, like this is an opportunity that probably won't come up for a long time, you know, and I think I do think matching our facilities to our fine arts program is good. And I do think one of the members mention that, you know, 900 to 1,000 is a cost is about $15 million, you know, and I think that's probably pretty accurate. But I think the work that you did with the consultant helps to clarify how this is going to be able to fall under that. Like that creates the opportunity to do it for $5 million versus $15 million down the road.
Correct.
You know. So I'm for the auditorium, and that's what my vote is going to be for that one tonight. So.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm also for adding the auditorium. I think it's worth doing after I had heard some discussion from some arts folks several weeks ago and began questioning in my mind, well, why don't we have the space for that? and realizing I don't think I realized that the high school auditorium was as small as it was. And is that 350 number correct?
It's 500. 500 seating.
Oh, okay, I was thinking it was more like 500, but still. Smaller than I remembered it being until you're in there. So I'm also in favor of adding that. I think it's worth adding and giving the opportunity for the taxpayer and the community to say yes or no.
I was in favor of it before tonight. I'm in favor of it tonight. And as I mentioned in the last meeting, if for no other reason, then it keeps our students within the confines of our building and not moving outside and minimizing the being outside of the building, which is a real risk that needs to be taken seriously. And I know it is, but I'm also in favor of the $97.5 million bond proposal.
Awesome. Mr. Strong, do you want to add anything?
Not really. Everybody said all the right things. I would just add one other comment. This is long overdue. It's something we we're fortunate to be able to do at this point in time. I'm just glad to see that it's, something that we're really all in agreement on for pushing forward and getting it done.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Setting the 97.5 to the side for the moment, is there anything in the bond specifics or details that you want to talk through?
I'm debating. I'll only make one comment that I don't think there's anything we can do because I just found out that it was a legal issue. Is when I ran for the board, a lot of people were disappointed at the, it's two sides of the opinion that we had excess bond funds and either wanted to vote on those or use them for something else. And we had talked about here as a board putting in the next bond proposal that if there was excess funds, that it would just directly go back to the people or have another vote on where they would be used. And my understanding is that it's a legal issue that we can't do that. We can't write that in. So it's pretty much going to be the same response as before, where it would have to be up to the board after a public hearing, et cetera. I personally feel like that the excess that we had was a unique thing, and I don't see it happening again, so I'm not too concerned about it.
Okay. Could I offer a compromise to the wording of the resolution? Because I understand your point, Mr. Walcott, and I know that I understand. I perfectly understand what the position was. It seems to me that I don't know that we would be out of bounds by passing a board policy
Right.
on the issue of remaining bond proceeds. The resolution can say what it says, but I would offer for the board's consideration a policy to address that issue.
I really like that.
I would be in support of that, and I think I would say I'd verbally affirm that my vote would be to defease the funds if we got to that point. But I think a policy is going to further carry the opinion of the board maybe as it is, and obviously they can change a policy if it's not us. But
like any good debater, I know both sides of the story. I mean, if the constitution of the board, or if the board were to change in the middle of the project, then obviously the policy could change. But I do think as a compromise, as I'll call it, it will at least put on the record at a particular point in time the board's feeling at the time that the resolution passed that this is the policy of this school board to do X should an event occur. So anyway, that's just an idea to not necessarily make you feel better about the resolution, but offer up a comment that memorializes the intention of the board.
And it's not a feel-good thing for me necessarily. It's just I've heard from a lot of community members and taxpayers that said they just felt like, I mean, look, whether they're right or wrong, I mean, it's like I'm never voting for a bond again because they, we voted to do this and then they added that. I mean, all those things we did and were needed and they're great to have done.
Right.
But I'm just hearing, we want this passed.
Yeah, and I think there's a after we defease the funds, I heard from a lot of people as a kind of like a thank you, and I think there's a sense of trust that's built into that, and so I think a board policy alongside of that would just go further in building trust in the community. Just to say, like, we value the money that comes from your taxes because of your hard work, and we don't take it lightly. So I would be in full support. I think it's a great idea, Mr. Thorner. I did want to say one other thing. I think I did ask Mr. McDaniel a bunch of questions prior to this meeting, just really thinking through questions from the community that are going to be asked, because most of us in this room are in support of this, but there are community members that are not going to be in support of it, and so the questions that I came up with, I think he responded really quick and he got them. I appreciate Mrs. Goranson answered some of those questions, but I think it'd be important for us just to continue thinking of these questions because we're passing the resolution to do it, but after that, I think is where the work begins, where, you know, we've got to communicate the why, like what the students talked about tonight, with why respect? Well, why are we doing this bond? You know, I think communication is going to be so incredibly important in this and passing. So thank you for responding so quickly too.
Yeah, those are great suggestions. We do have a bond and levy website already up and running, and then adding those frequently asked questions, we can just do that in real time. As they come in, if one person has a question, we know someone else out there will have the question as well.
Yeah.
So they'll put those frequently asked questions and answers on that bond and levy website that we have.
Awesome. And then are we able to put a draft together for a board policy?
Yes, I heard consensus that the board would like the administration to bring forward a policy on future defeasance of funds. And also, just to make sure the community knows, you know, we did talk this over with the lawyer who put the resolution together. The lawyer did include defeasance as an option in the resolution that's being proposed to the board. It does say that the board may retire or defease a portion of the bonds or other outstanding bonds of the district, as the board may determine by resolution after holding a public hearing thereon. And then basically that was what the lawyer said that he was going to be able to put in there for us. And I do appreciate Mr. Thorner coming forward and saying bringing a policy on defeasance would help to really solidify the position of the board and have that on the record for the community. So
I love that.
We can definitely do that.
Awesome. Mr. Strong, would you like to add anything?
No, not really. I mean, I think we've talked about this quite a few times before in the past. But, you know, I can live with anything that we really do there. I just think that at the time we did what we did, we just had some serious, you know, I think facilities issues that we had to deal with. We dealt with them, so whatever future policy we come up with, and, you know, it will do what we want to do for the community as well. So I'm in favor of whatever, you know, we come up with here.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll consider that discussion done. Moving on to discussion item C, policy revision 1111, oath of office.
All right, so we have received from the Washington State School Directors Association this model policy. There was changes to the state law last spring. I had shared a cover memo with the board that explained the RCWs that had changed. And the RCWs were related to the willful noncompliance of the school board with the state laws. And it did say that willful noncompliance was a violation of the oath of office. They were suggesting, so this is a discretionary suggestion, that they were suggesting that the oath of office be updated to include the state of Washington as the laws of the state of Washington as part of the oath. And so that's what we brought forward. I believe I'd heard prior, there was a board member sharing with me that perhaps if we're saying the laws of the state of Washington, then we should also say the laws of the United States of America. And that's something that we could include in a second reading if that's what the board wanted to do. So that's where we're at. And if you want to, I'm interested in hearing the board discussion here. As we added a discussion item.
I think one of the difficulties when I read the statement is typically when you're doing a revision and you see more red than blue or whatever it is, it starts to make you really cross-eyed trying to read it. And so it seems more complex than it is. And it took me a little bit to just even realize what was being shifted. I don't see any significant shifts in this, but I would agree that if we're saying the state of Washington as the laws that we would submit to, I would imagine that it would also be the laws of the United States. In addition to that, would you like to send it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's as an option, depending on how the discussion goes. I took all the cross outs and just whittled it down to what the old one actually said, what the new one actually says, because it helped me understand exactly what it was saying. There wasn't that much change. I just added on the third line U.S. law also, because it has both the U.S. Constitution and state constitution. So why not have both? It just has something to throw out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to interrupt.
And just again for the audience, I'll just read this. So the suggestion for the new policy that Mr. Wilcott has shared is Each newly elected, re-elected, or appointed director will take an oath or affirmation to support the constitutions of the United States and the state of Washington, and the laws of the United States and the state of Washington, and to faithfully discharge the duties of the office to the best of his or her ability. The oath or affirmation must be endorsed by and sworn to before an officer authorized to administer oaths. School officials are authorized to administer all oaths or affirmations pertaining to their respective offices. After the oath or affirmation is made, it will be filed with the county auditor.
My thought towards this is that I appreciate what Mr. Wolcott put in there, but I also think that we recognize we're in a time where the state of Washington's laws and the federal laws don't necessarily line up, and we're also looking at federal laws that are handed down, and then our state is basically asking us not to do what they're doing in the sense right now. And so the WSDA did classify this as discretionary. And so because they classified it as discretionary, my suggestion would be just to leave it as it is, not to change the policy or the oath. That's my thoughts towards that.
Be a question, Peter. If it's discretionary, does the previous policy support the new RCW?
The previous policy, basically the RCW that got updated says that willful noncompliance is a violation of the oath of office. That's what it says in the new RCW. So this makes it explicit that the oath of office is to uphold the laws of the state of Washington.
It certainly gives clarification, but does the old one, does it not support the RCW?
Well, I guess that's why it's discretionary. It basically, whether you change it or not, the RCW says that willful noncompliance is a violation of the oath of office. Go ahead, Michael.
I make these statements not as the district's legal counsel. Unfortunately, you have a lawyer who's on the school board.
Sure.
RCW 28-343-360, which was amended this year, first sentence reads, quote, "Every person elected or appointed to the office of school director before entering upon the discharge of the duties thereof shall take an oath or affirmation to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington and the laws of the state of Washington, and to faithfully discharge the duties of the office according to the best of his or her ability. And then there's a little bit more after that. So when you go to the Washington State Legislature's site, where it talks about down below after the statute, there's a link to the actual bill that was passed in the legislature. And you click on that, and for this particular RCW, the only portion of that first sentence that I read was the laws of the state of Washington, which was absent from the policy before. So I'm not exactly sure what the Washington School Directors Association is saying about why this is discretionary, because shall take an oath of office or affirmation. That is a must. So I don't understand why this is a discretionary policy. That's not for me to say. But Mr. Wolcott's suggestion for our policy adds to verbatim the law, or verbatim what is provided for in the RCW. It's interesting when you look at, when you click on the little hyperlink that talks about the rest of everything that was passed that Dr. Finch talked about willful noncompliance being part of that, and then there's a bunch of other terms of art that are used. But what's interesting, when you compare the rest of what was part of that package, it uses the word comply. It doesn't use the word, or at least I couldn't find it very easily, support. Comply and support are, in my mind, different words or different terms of art. I would say that the oath of office was probably not very carefully looked at this is just my opinion,
Sure.
when the rest of the package was put. I think, I tend to like the suggestion for our new policy to include the United States. I think we have to comply with all the laws that are applicable to the district and applicable to us carrying out our duties as school board members. I do believe we have a duty to comply with the law, whatever law is applicable. So, in summary, I don't understand why WVSD says this is a discretionary policy, because it's absolutely part of the enumerated statute duly passed by the Washington State Legislature and signed by the governor. There's nothing wrong with necessarily this statement, other than my maybe don't love the word support. I think it should be comply to be consistent with the rest of the statute. But that having been said, I think the law is very clear about, in the first sentence, which matches up with the proposed policy. And then I don't see anything wrong with adding the laws of the United States of America to that. But anyway, I've kind of just gone on, so apologize.
No,
for
I
that.
appreciate
that. I'm disappointed. Well, once again, I'm disappointed with the legislature and the way they handle things. But I can see where there would be some consternation about the support of Washington law when you have a reasonable disagreement about that law.
Yeah.
And that puts at odds your personal feelings as school board members, which we all can have reasonable disagreements. That's what makes our country great, right? And where we advocate for changes to the law when appropriate. It's difficult because as fiduciary officers of the district, we have to comply with the law. And there's now even more law that says that if you willfully not comply with the law, there can be financial consequences to the district, which is also troubling. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking.
No, it's good input.
I would say that I'm comfortable with all of that being said. I'm comfortable with Mr. Walcott's suggestion for adding to the policy.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing too. I appreciate that. I think also there is a lawsuit against our state. It's a broad lawsuit, and I don't know all the details. It's still something that I'm reading into. But part of my understanding is that there's the statement in here where it says that the state can withhold 20%. Is part of what this lawsuit does. And if you go to our state constitution, and I'm not a lawyer, but I can read the constitution says that the state is required to provide funding for every single student in the state of Washington. And so by us supporting this, in many ways, I see it as a way of not voicing back to the state and giving them permission to say that they can withhold funding from a student. And so again, there's this lawsuit, and I want to do more research into it and understand it more, but it is challenging our state, and and it's another reason why I think we should keep as is and maybe table this and pick it up again. But that lawsuit, depending on how it goes, can even change this law. We saw this with Title IX. Title IX changed, and then there was a change in policy, and then Title IX changed back, and then there's a change back to the previous policy. I think just with all the discussion around it, I think it'd be better to maybe table this.
There's three areas that I'm confused by, and sometimes I just don't understand these things. I would like to know why its classification is discretionary. So why is that? What purpose would it have if it's not required? What is the time that we have? Are we having to make a policy change right away? Is it something that is required of us? And then I suppose it would be a philosophical question, which maybe we can't answer, but it would be that when we came onto the board and we took an oath to uphold the Constitution and to do our due diligence, I would have assumed that it was to also follow the law. And so it's an odd, weird kind of misdirection where when you take the oath, I would assume that part of it is to follow the law, to do it to the best of your ability. So it's confusing to me that there's a change.
Well, I think it's discretionary because when it's required, it's when the legislature does say that districts shall adopt policy and they give a deadline for that. And that's the only reason I could determine that it was discretionary.
So we don't have a deadline yet?
No, the legislature did not direct districts to adopt this policy.
Okay.
So that's why it's discretionary.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Having said that, just like Mr. Thorner had said, it is in the law that we have to follow the state law.
Yeah.
Well,
and it is in there.
And more importantly, it is in the state law that every person elected to the office of the school director shall take an oath of affirmation.
Yeah, which we did. And so it's...
So you're going to have to administer oath to two board members,
Right.
one, possibly two board members, depending on the final outcome. I guess what I want to say is part of the law is just because there's a lawsuit filed doesn't mean that anybody's right. There's part of the law is that if the court ultimately determines that something is unconstitutional, but that's going to take some time. So this is the law unless there is an injunction of some sort that prevents this law from going through. More importantly, to table a motion, to table a policy that says, well, I'm not sure, but, or implying that, well, we may not follow the law, or we may not
I don't
comply.
think anybody applies.
I understand, but I think that's a bad message that
Sure,
you potentially
absolutely.
are sending.
But
I'm
we're just talking about drafts right now. We're
I
not
understand.
talking
I'm just saying that tabling this motion, I don't think is wise. I think it's because outside of this room, anybody can draw any conclusion
Sure,
that they want
absolutely.
about why wouldn't they do this.
Sure.
So this sentence that I read is the sentence that is in here. I don't frankly care what WASTA says about this being discretionary. This is clearly articulated by the law that was passed by the legislature, signed by the governor, and so it is what it is.
Yeah.
So this policy revision includes the laws of the state of Washington in compliance with RCW 28A 343-360.
Would totally agree. The pushback that I would have on it is the oath that we gave, would it not be applicable? So could not the new board members take the same oath that we did? The same policy that supported it?
No, because it doesn't include the laws of the state of Washington, which is shall take an oath or affirmation to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington and the laws of the state of Washington. The oath that we all took did not include the laws of the state of Washington.
So should we have to retake the oath then?
Well, that's not for me to decide, but
I guess it would have to if it's re-election.
That's
or-
the
Yeah,
understanding.
would you then do a retaking of the oath? Every time there's a law.
I think it's for each newly elected, re-elected, or appointed director. So at that time.
Yeah.
for each person elected or appointed before entering the discharge of the duties thereof. So I don't think it hurts you to. I don't think it hurts you to take another oath. But again, just going back to how Mr. Walcott's suggestion matches up with the oath, that I don't see there being any problem with adding the laws of the United States of America. I think to Mr. Kephardt's point, there's a lot of conflicting, this federal policy or federal law, how does that supersede state law? These executive orders from the president superseding, how does that all fit together? I agree that's a mess.
Our lawyer said it was an exciting time to be a lawyer.
I would say it's a mess. To be perfectly honest, I would say it's a mess.
Yeah. From a practical standpoint, we will be ushering in the new student board probably, mid-December?
The newly elected board members will be at the first meeting in December.
And that would be when they would take their oath.
Right.
And so then we do have a little bit of time, but not a whole lot of time.
Well, it is timely. If we do the first reading tonight, and then we would have time for the second reading. With the second reading, we could have the addition that Mr. Wilcott had added.
Okay. Then, can we get that redraft? And then if there is any, and I want to take your word for it, that discretionary is not up for debate, but it'd be interesting to look into that.
Right.
Okay.
Could I say one last thing?
Yeah.
You know, you can comply with the law as written and still voice your opinion to oppose it. You always have that ability to do that. Everybody has that ability to do that.
We've done that with resolutions.
Absolutely. You have the ability to, you or the collective board has the ability to advocate and stand up and say, hey, we don't think this is right. So, and still comply with the law. We don't like this, but we don't like this law. We need to comply with it, but we want to seek change, whether that changes in the legislature or whether that changes in the court system. So, that's all part of the Constitution and the law.
Yes, it is. Awesome. Mr. Strong, do you have anything to add?
Not really. It's an interesting discussion. Just one little point, though. I mean, I forget who it was mentioned about, well, do we necessarily need to consider Washington because sometimes federal and state law don't match, and that's real possible. But I think as long as we're able to accommodate both, we should. And for one other reason, we live in the state of Washington. We should make sure that we are following the Washington state laws as well. So I think there's no question in my mind about the federal laws. Those should definitely be there, but I think it's a good idea to make sure that we have everything included at this point.
Any other closing thoughts or questions? Okay. We're going to close down the discussion and we'll move into the public comment regarding that discussion item. So if you'd like to talk about any things that we just talked about, again, you can sign in. I'm not going to read the statement again, but if you would like to sign in, or if you'd like to come on up, we'd love to hear from you. Okay. See nobody?
Nope, Peter Murray.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Peter.
So if I understand correctly, I could talk about the three topics we just talked about, not just the last one, correct?
Sure, correct.
Okay, so about the topic you were having, I would say that I would defer it. I think it's problematic. I did read through the RCW as well too. If there is willful non-compliance, there is an outlined approach that needs to take place. And it's separated into two different sections, whether it's brought up, say by a student or a staff member, or it's a broad policy at large. So it's not like the superintendent of the OSBI is just going to immediately whack for willful non-compliance. There has to be an investigation that takes place. So my view, and I really appreciate the sharing of everybody that was on the group, and Mr. Forner said it, you can still follow the laws of the state of Washington as it's written today. And I don't see anything wrong with the way it's currently written, where it says you're going to follow the Constitution of the U.S. and you're going to follow the Constitution of the state of Washington, which embodies supporting laws that are passed. So I read what the RCW says in the specific point about, I would not take, the questions I would ask, interesting, it does say, that it's not required. I would wonder, are there other school boards that have already approved it and the kind of discussions going through? So I would leverage what else you're hearing out there, because if we're struggling with it, other people are going to be struggling with it as well too. But my first take, and like Mr. Wilcox was saying, I'm kind of researching this because it really intrigued me. The agenda just came out Friday over the weekend, so I'm just reading it for the first time. However, a couple of you brought it up. There's already disputes between federal law and state law. In some cases, the state is not following what federal law says. So it's really an interesting dynamic that we're talking here, and as Mr. Farr said, it's a big mess. So my first cut would be, I don't think we should rush through this right now. And for the people who are now being elected, that could be quite a big change for them. So if the law does not stipulate a specific due date, and I frankly, again, feel like the way it's written today, you're aware of the laws, be in compliance with it. So that's just sort of my early take. I have not finished researching on my end, but that's just what occurs to me. So I think it'd be good to see what other school districts are doing about this, and if they are changing the verbiage, rather than creating something out of scratch, try to see what other folks are doing in that regard. So anyway, that's my comments on that. As far as levy, I just want to shout out to Mr. McDaniel. He has made himself available for additional questions regarding just more details, even over and beyond what has been shared, even into tonight's link. It was mentioned previously by a couple folks, and even kind of came up tonight in a different context, that communication is really important to the community. And I still have some outstanding questions, and Ms. McDaniel even said tonight, hey, let's get together again to talk further, because I think there's a couple of additional items out there that'd be good for the taxpayers to hear about. So you guys move forward with levy, and that's great. And I think we can backfill it with some additional information. So fantastic. And I really like the idea that was talked about, that Mr. Thorner brought it up, about changing the policy, because it was such a mess the last time, as a compromise. Yes, people can change it later on. However, I think it sends a message to the community that the intention of the board who is in power, since obviously the attorney said, hey, you can't, there was supposed to be a public vote. I think it sends a message, and it kind of speaks to what Mr. Wolcott was talking about earlier, that there was a defeasance. The people and the community really appreciated that. So I think that's a great idea. Anyway, those are a couple of thoughts I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Closing down public comment discussion time. Moving into action items. Let's go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for last session.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 28th, 2025.
Excellent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same say.
4-1.
There's a little lag.
Sorry, Mark, was that in favor to pass the agenda?
Yes.
All right. I'll pause the next time. I'm sorry about that. All right. The motion carries. It sounds like we're dealing with resolution, sorry, where am I?
B is approval of the
B is
policy.
I'm sorry, the
First reading?
yeah, the first reading. So with the first reading, then do we just put it on pause and waiting for a draft? Because it seems like there's discussion with it.
Well, we can make a motion.
Yep,
You can vote that motion down, because
Gotcha.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Okay.
And you guys can vote me down if you want.
Okay.
But before you do, I strongly urge you to not vote me down.
Okay.
I think you're sending the wrong message. I don't agree with Mr. Marinacci's assessment that this is discretionary. The law that I wrote makes it clear, shall take an oath that has all of these things in it.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, you need to pass this to comply with this provision that is in the RCW.
Okay. Hearing a motion to.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve, well, let me make a specific motion. I'm going to make a motion to approve the suggestion for our new policy written by Mr. Walcott for 1111, which includes the entry of the, as amended, but then which includes the laws of the United States.
And changing the word from support to comply.
No, I'm going to leave support in because that word is in the statute as written.
Okay, so I heard a motion to approve the policy in the additions and the revisions written by Mr. Walcott under policy number 1111, oath of office. All those in favor of carrying that motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Aye. The ayes have it, 3-2. The motion carries for the first draft. Moving on to, and so when we come to this proposal, there's two different proposals for the, actually we'll take the levy first. Approval of resolution number 1, resolution number 25-11-784, replacement educational programs and operational levy. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll move to approve resolution 25-11-784.
Excellent. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. And then we come to Proposition 2, 25-11-785, bonds to renovate aging schools. And this would be for the $97,500,000 with the addition of the auditorium. So if we can get a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve 25-11-785.
Excellent. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Excellent.
Do we need to do anything to amend the agenda to strike?
Correct. Yeah, we'll remove.
10C3.
Correct.
Excellent. Can we get a motion to strike Proposition 2?
3.
3, thank you. Yeah.
I make a motion to strike 10C3.
Which is the bond without the auditorium.
Right, 25-11-786.
Excellent. I hear that motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Excellent. All right. That was a little bit.
Well done. That was
Let's move on
a little
to
tricky there.
superintendent's
All right.
report.
Oh, first items arising.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Any items arising? Seeing no items, let's move into the superintendent's report.
All right, just superintendent's report shared that we will have our annual survey of students, staff, and families coming up. Staff will get the email when they come back on Wednesday, and there'll be a link for them to take the survey. Our families will get information sent to them on Monday, and then also as they come in for conferences, there'll be computers available that they can take the survey. It's a short survey for the staff so that we have a high completion rate. And then our students in grades 3 through 12 will take the survey during conference week, and then also following that, for secondary, they'll take it during their RAM advisory, RAM Strong. So that's the superintendent's report. Just as we receive the results, we post those on the website. So we're very transparent in West Valley with our results of student achievement and perceptual data. And so that's under the strategic plan part of the website. Those are our key performance indicators. And then we also have our data summits with the school board and just share all that data. We're transparent with the data here in West Valley, and we'll continue that.
Board reports.
I've got something. So I went to the candidate forum for the new candidates running for the school board, And something I heard was what I was reminded of 2 years ago, in that sometimes when you want to speak to the school board, it's intimidating to get up
Yeah.
to this podium. You know, and I remember thinking that when I was running for school board, and then I heard it again. And, you know, I've been on school boards, so I'm like, I'm not intimidating. At least I don't think I am. But it's just the idea of it. And so I was sitting with coffee, Mr. McDaniel and another community member at Starbucks, and it just seemed like here's a platform where it was just easy for that community member to talk. And so I'd like to propose, hopefully by January we have it set up where we can do like Fridays at Starbucks, coffee with the school board type thing, and maybe have it organized through Stephanie, who manages everything for us, or someone, but where people can just reach out and say, I'd like to get coffee with a school board member, and maybe even, you know, 2 of us can go, like legally 2 of us can still hang out as friends and talk about whatever. So I don't know, I'd like to have that for beginning in January. I think that'd be a good time to start that, and especially with the bond and the levy going to be on the ballot in February, I think it's going to create a lot of questions. And it might be that it takes a little bit of time to gain traction, but I think it'd be a great place to be able to give people opportunity to speak that's not going to get up in front of a school board.
So, that's very good. Any others? Okay. I'll adjourn this school meeting at 8:36 p.m. on November 10th.
All right, thank you, Mark.